to know that you can't sleep till I get home. It's colder than you think, so hold me tight. The games we've played as children often replicate in adolescence. Years on, you spin me round and round. We're dazzled by this notion that we're blinded by
pure devotion.
it's hard for them, it's easy for us. Oh,
Ooh.
you'll be there when I get home. And you'll hold my hand until I go. You'll never be alone, as far as I can tell. So hold me close,
Everybody.
don't forget me.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Oh, you'll be there when I get home. And you'll hold my hand until I go. You'll never be alone, as far as I can tell. So hold me close, don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Don't forget me. 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 Don't forget me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Man City battering Wolves in the end, 5-1. Across the next hour to 90 minutes, what we are going to be doing is discussing the game itself, the consequences on the title race, what were the main storylines, what have been some things that have annoyed me this past week. To be honest, if we have time, we might touch on like team of the season as well, or maybe that should be its own separate show. Let me know what you guys think. And obviously, the main thing is I want this to be a conversation with you guys. I want your questions, your comments, your statements, your opinions, your views, your allegiances popped in the chat, because I want this to be a back and forth discussion on this show. Shout out to LB. For the raid. I'm sure most of you guys would know this. I was just on LB's channel where we discussed the game. So if you want even more of my inane nonsense, thank you so much for spending your time, your hard-earned Sunday with me. Hello, Phil. How you doing, mate? Am I the only rifle fan who thought that Gavado Pen was natural? Pen, we'll get into it. We can talk about the decisions as well. Will Duncan, hello, Will, says do a year-in review video. Games you liked, games you hated, little plays. Yeah, I'm sure we will. Don't you worry. I think last season it wasn't a live stream, but we did do sort of like a 20-minute video. You know, how did Man City win the league, and like I talked about the phases of the season. So yeah, we can definitely do that. That's a good idea. A year in review, 100%. Hopefully, we'll win the title. We could talk about that. Hello, Sean, who agrees with Phil, Colin, Formidable Centurions, Phil, Herbal, B. When Haaland heard Cole Palmer could win the Golden Boot, hold my beer. Yeah, not bad for a League 2 player, etc., etc. Nova, Nitesh, Cole Collins. That's a fantastic alliterated name. The pass from Foden for Haaland's last goal is incredible. And yeah, guys, if you are enjoying the show, I know I've only just started, but try to look into the future. Please leave a like on the video. It helps me out. It is free and doesn't cost you a penny. If you would like to spend some pennies on me, though, you are more than welcome to do so. You can become a channel member. The link is as a pinned comment, or you can click the join button, or you can check in the video description if you'd like to. Anyway, you don't have to. There is no pressure to do so, but if you would like to, you're more than welcome to. If you want to join the Ultras Club, that is. The obvious place to start is Haaland, but I actually think I might want to start with Foden, just because, again, if you're joining from LB's channel, we just talked about Haaland a lot, so I might have like a little, we talk about another player for a little bit of time, and then we'll obviously get into Haaland, who scored 4 goals. It's impossible to not talk about him. But yeah, in terms of an individual, I want to start with Foden. But we'll actually start with the actual system and how we set up and that sort of situation. So I thought it was going to be the 2-3 build-up shape, and I thought it was going to be Gvardiol out on the left, Walker on the right. It wasn't, though. It wasn't at all. It was 3-2. Walker stayed back, and it was actually Bernardo holding the width. It was indeed Gvardiol more so holding the left on the left side to allow Foden to tuck inside. This is what he does. But yeah, it was actually Bernardo for the most part out at right wing, which was really interesting. I did not see that coming at all. But what was most interesting about City wasn't necessarily the system, wasn't the formation. It was more the roles that the players were assigned. It was an incredibly aggressive game from City yesterday. The amount of times that Akanji was more than halfway across the point of the halfway line and the opposition's box was staggering. The amount of time, just go back and watch the first half in particular. The amount of times where Akanji was in a position where he was anticipating the Wolves players trying to play it in behind our defence, and he just stepped up and got in the way, intercepted. We create a counter-attack. In fact, I think that's precisely how our second goal was scored. It starts from Akanji winning the ball. We then lose it. Rodri wins it back, but that's how he ends up scoring that goal. And that consistently happened. It was very, very aggressive. As I say, from City, we were not reactive at all in the game. We were very, very proactive. We were taking the game to Wolves. We were deciding what Wolves were going to do even when Wolves had the ball, if that makes sense. So we knew that Wolves were going to try to do one thing, so we were like, right, well, we're just going to counter that immediately by doing that. So it was incredibly aggressive. Sean's just said Rodri was playing more forward yesterday. I totally agree, Sean. And just the whole team generally as well. It started from the forward line. Haaland, De Bruyne pressing really intently, the wide players, Foden, Bernardo, and you can definitely get away with that against, no disrespect to Wolves, don't know if Wolves F1 is still here, so no disrespect to Wolves, you can definitely do that against sides you expect to beat, especially at home. We shouldn't be doing that against sides which are incredibly press resistant and which, you know, have the tools to beat us. I don't want to do it against like Liverpool, for example, but in crunch time, when it's a must-win game and we need to put pressure on the opposition immediately, I really like that aggressive, offensive approach from City without the ball in particular. We haven't even talked about how we were on the ball yet, but certainly off the ball, that was just really promising to see. Akanji almost doing that Ruben Diaz role of being the aggressor and dictating opposition counterattacks and snuffing out opposition counterattacks before they even commence. I was really, really happy with that. Again, it's that idea of taking the game to Wolves, and why not? If you know you are the better side and you know that you can just overcome them ultimately. So that was a really nice thing to see. LB and I have discussed this. There is a clear direction in respect of leaning into the chaos almost. Maybe chaos isn't the right word, leaning into the aggression, leaning into the offensive focus, and just almost thinking, we can and will overpower you. That's not the same as going gung-ho, like DJ makes a good point here, Covers Roll brings it all together. You still need some balance in there, obviously. That's what the likes of Kova bring, Rodri, etc., etc. But if we have these players, we have Foden, we have De Bruyne, we have Haaland, let's use them. Let's use them efficiently and effectively. I'll get to the chat, but then I want to talk about what is a consequence of that and how were we actually able to do things where some of our fans have been crying out for all season in terms of using these players. Ben says, go to League Striker 100%. Hello, Ewan, long-term Nobbins analysis fan. Do you realize that was a YouTube stream? Yes, Ewan, these are our post-mortem streams. We do these either straight after the game or the morning the next day. So if you don't see it the day after, it's always going to be the morning, the next morning, usually after an LB stream. First year players play better without Haaland, yeah, and we will get into Haaland, don't you worry. Hello, Nitin, what's on Gvardiol's been? Totally agree, mate. If we can get one more Gvardiol defender right side, it'll be the perfect balance. Yeah, Gvardiol is a unique player, isn't he? He's absolutely fantastic. Kanji not only has been our best defender, he's the best defender in the league this season. Rodri, top 5 players in the world. I think I agree with that, True Dog. Certainly Kanji one, he has been our best player. If the team of the season was purely based on, and well, to be fair, it is. The team of the season, like PFA, is based on general positions, so not left back, right back. It's 4 defenders. If that stays true, in my opinion, Akanji should be included in it. Bayern Dortmund make the Champions League final. Dortmund wins it. Foden with the Ballon d'Or. All the others are out. Kane, though, Kyle. Harry Kane is still there with his goal scoring. Season, Herbal. Walker is better when he stays back. Yeah, he clearly can't do that right wing role, can he? Foden pushing into the middle. Bernardo went right. Josko drifting up to left wing. Mint lineup. Let's do that again. Yeah, and I don't actually. So, and this is something I'm not going to say recommended, because that sounds incredibly conceited to suggest that Pep also didn't have a similar idea. But in my Foden De Bruyne video, I said that what could be interesting, something we haven't seen yet properly this season, would be Gvardiol going to, starting at left back, pushing up to left wing, Foden tucking inside, De Bruyne on the right of him. That's how you get both in their best position. And that's worked brilliant. It hasn't worked all the time. For example, we did that to a lesser effect against Arsenal. It wasn't to the same degree. The main issue was Gvardiol was too isolated. We needed more like runners in and around him. We needed to be a bit quicker and more direct. But clearly, as a concept, it works, which is really good to see. I just need to see it better utilised in the bigger games. Again, more bodies around him. But yeah, I totally agree with that, Herbal. Totally agree. If Germany I think Germany would need to have a good Euros. Germany, we need to have a good Euros, Kyle, for that to happen. Don't be scared to talk to shitless society means I'm simply a politeful and respectful chap, Tone. That's what it is. I think Pep's just a perfectionist supernova. We'll be going on the Twitch later, guys, by the way. 3 o'clock, we're going to be doing some Football Manager. If you guys want to join me for that, / Twitch in the chat. Yes, so what that also did was we were able to get more out of our more direct players, the Haalands, the Fodens, the De Bruynes, and that's because we just, as we discussed, we played much more directly. We actually crossed the ball pretty early on. It was incredibly quick football, and Wolves just couldn't really deal with it. They couldn't deal with our switches, and that was actually how the first goal came about, the first penalty. It came from a fantastic, quick, penetrating through ball by Foden. Bernardo, I think it is. It's a first-time cross to the back post, and it's all about winning the duels, and it's all about winning the second balls in those instances. Okay, it doesn't fall onto Haaland's head. Got it in the mix system. But yeah, and that sounds basic, but that is absolutely what worked. And Gvardiol wins the penalty. Now, just briefly, because this channel's never really been about refereeing decisions. That's not the point of it. At first, I didn't think it was a penalty, and then lots of people said it wasn't a penalty. But then I rewatched it today. I think it is. And I don't even know if it's that close, because I don't really know what the argument is. It isn't a penalty because it's not coming together, because Gvardiol goes for the ball, he gets to it first, and then the Wolves defender quite clearly takes him out. So I think I've changed my mind on that. I just think it is a penalty, to be honest. I don't really know I don't know why that became the common sentiment there, personally. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, it's irrelevant. I still think we would have won quite comfortably, but let me know what you guys think. Was it a penalty? Wasn't it a penalty? Let me know. But that's certainly how the first goal was scored, which was fantastic to see. And then the second goal came about because of that positioning that we talked about with Akanji, that incredibly aggressive style that City adopted. And what does that do? It gets your more direct players more involved in the game. Get the ball quickly into Foden's feet. He's able to turn. Boom. So, Kevin De Bruyne, we were able to create all these sort of, like, they're called false transitions. A situation where it ends up like it looks like you're having a counter-attack, but you actually had the ball. So it's not technically a counterattack. That's why it's called like a false counterattack, you know, a false transition, that sort of thing. And I think we did that in a number of ways. In the first instance, we did that by just being more direct generally. I think in another instance, we did it by baiting Wolves into thinking that they were safe, wanting them to come out a little bit, and then hitting them, which is something that we have done in the past, but we haven't then been quick in our actions. So we baited them, and then we were quick in the actions. So, great example. Didn't actually end up to a goal, but I think it's Kova and Rodri. They're just sort of passing it between them on like the halfway line. Nothing's on. There's no chance here. A Wolves player pushes up from the midfield to go press. Kova immediately, first time, Foden turns, drives at the Wolves defence. Ends up getting dispossessed. But in like a split second, that went from City being in settled possession, Wolves in a good defensive shape, there's no danger there, to, oh, you think you're safe? Boom. First time pass into Foden, turns, drives with the ball. Again, maybe he could do better, but it is good defending. It also happened with the fourth goal, and we'll get into Foden's role in that. But that came from City playing it out from the back. There's no danger here. Ederson, first time ball into Foden, turns, suddenly Haaland has a 1v1. Incredibly direct, effective football, but still measured and controlled. That's the thing. I'm still very keen for it to be controlled and measured. Just because something's direct doesn't mean it has to be chaotic and uncontrolled. There's a difference between a long pass and a long ball. A long pass is much more tailored and accurate. A long ball is more of a punt and a hope rather than an expectation. So yeah, that just helped us to lean more so into that. Shout out to Sanjeev, who I think has I think this is your second month as an Nabini Ultra. Thank you so much, Sanjeev, for continuing to support the channel. Enjoy. You've got a bronze little rat badge, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support, mate. Genuinely means the world. You guys seem to think it was a penalty, by the way. Sanjeev says, I can tell you how bad I want the team to give Erling those through balls. He makes runs. Again, we saw that so much yesterday. A lot didn't, to be fair, like, there were a few which didn't end up being a successful through ball, but it's the fact that we tried it and then we won the ball back really quickly anyway. It was just fantastic to see. The same thing that was given against us versus Arsenal at the Emirates when Ederson took out Nketiah. Everyone said it was clear as day. Fair enough. 100% a penalty, stone wall, both clear penalties. I mean, the second one's not even a conversation. That's just so... I can't believe... I could not believe... Because I actually rewatched the game this morning. I couldn't believe Jamie Carragher on commentary trying to say it wasn't a penalty at first. It was just one of those blatant things I've seen. It was unbelievable. He clearly took him out. But yeah, there we go. Hotch says, I think we saw the best of Rodri. We'll get into Rodri, don't you worry about it. No, I've said about Ez, but yeah, the ball was absolute filth. Absolute filth. Yeah, get up, Sanjeev. We love that from him. It's nice to see somebody crossing the ball. For say he's realistic jumping with Haaland. About time. Yeah. Okay, I think we could say the first one is up in the air, but the second one is that there is no debate. And again, like we battered them anyway. Like come on, even if that first one wasn't given, again for me it probably should have been given. We battered them. They weren't really. They were in the game for like 30 seconds and then we scored. So it wasn't even a thing. Yeah. So really happy with that setup. We will get into individual performances and my grievances with some comments on some of our players this season. So don't you worry, guys. Stay tuned. We've got 150 people watching. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Genuinely means the world. Let's grow the channel. Please, you guys, everyone here, please leave a like on the video. I would like us to get to at least 100 likes. Thank you very, very much. Helps grow the channel. Helps get more eyes on the channel. Ultimately, helps me succeed in this industry. So if you guys please like, it's free. And if you want to go the extra mile like Sanjeev has and join the Ultras Club, which you can do for £3 a month. Thank you so much for that, Sanjeev. Both Carragher and Iraq. I haven't watched Match of the Day, to be fair. I am indeed from Manchester. I'm born in Manchester and live in Manchester. Hot shit, yes, indeed. My mum grew up on a council estate in Salford. Shout out to her. Like button pole. I don't know what that means. Yeah, we'll get into those comments, Brendan, because I listened to those now. I was very, very confused. So for some, we're leaning more into the chaos, but still in a controlled way. It's controlled chaos, as they say. It's not like Klopp from 7 years ago. It's not like Klopp from 7 years ago where it's all go and it's heavy metal football. There is method to the madness. Hopefully we see that throughout the course of the season and in its final closing stages. Again, De Bruyne got the best out of him. Get the ball to Haaland and we do well. This is something that we need to do more of next season. 100%. Yeah, 100%. We need to do a bit more. People have spoken about how they miss Dortmund Haaland because he's not this transitional monster anymore, but he can be. It's all about the fake transitions. Pep City will never be a team who solely rely on the counter-attack. But you can create artificial counter-attacks. That's what I would like to see us keep doing. Even if you're up against a team who want to defend, you can foster those counterattacks by baiting the press. It's a little bit riskier, but you can definitely do it, as we saw yesterday at times. Like, I'm not saying Wolves were. I'm not saying that they weren't open at times, because they were. They weren't in an absolute low block, but you see what I mean. You can bait them. You can bait them and again create those counterattacks with your own play. You can be proactive rather than reactive in that respect. Because again, we've got, in my opinion, the best counter-attacking striker in the world, and we've got the best counter-attacking midfielder in the world. We can't play counter-attacking football outright, but we can utilise those methods 100%. Foden as well, brilliant transitional player. Speaking on, keep your questions and comments coming in, by the way, guys. If there's anything specific you would like me to discuss, like Elder here, for example, says, this system and a big summer equals the 5 Pete. Yeah, it's looking sharp and promising, isn't it, Elder? It's looking very, very good. I don't think goal difference is important, sadly, Anthony. If we won yesterday, like 7-1, maybe there's a conversation. But no. Hard to get in the ball with 2 people marking him at all. And yes, Tony, that's why we need to create those artificial counters 100%. City's too good to beg for a penalty. Haaland's good just because of his... Wait, what? City's too good to beg for a penalty. Haaland is good just because of his strength in which plays to his advantage. Yes, 100% good omen. Norway strikes again, says Jürgen. LB has a poll. Oh, sorry, a poll. Oh, right. Poll. I got very confused then. LB, I thought like a man from Poland asking if people hit the like button to start the streams. Oh yeah, I should probably do that, shouldn't I, Tone? I do that sometimes when I remember the direct bar to Holland was on the Wolves game because of their setup. Most teams, but I don't know if that's in part, but I don't know if I agree, because again, a lot of it was because we were forcing them to do that, or we were encouraging them to do that. If the other team doesn't want to do it at all and they just want to sit, then there's nothing you can do. But quite a lot of teams will take that invitation. So it's more about utilising that invitation. That's what it is about. That's too many Edson assists this year. Look forward to those when we signed Haaland. I'd like to see us also more... I'd like to see us... Because you can't be offside from a goal kick. We did it very early on in Edison's career. Like, Jesus would just sit in the opposition penalty box. I want us to do that more, to be honest. Because again, you can't be offside from a goal kick. So just get especially like when you need a goal, just put Haaland in the opposition box or just on the edge of it. And then it forces the opposition to be so far back and then win the second ball, and boom, and within one action, you are immediately up the pitch. Yeah, Lafty wasn't given. Yeah, he would have known it's going to VAR. This is 100% going to be given. Obviously, it's going to happen. That's not going to happen. Goal difference isn't going to be a thing. That's so cringe. FIFA tactics can't be. But you can't be offside from a goal. And again, we used to do it. City used to do it with Jesus and with Edison. For some reason, we haven't done it as much anymore. I don't know why. I don't know why we don't, because Edison holds the Guinness World Record for longest goal kick or something like that. There was a City video on that a few years ago, so it's definitely something we could be utilising a bit more. That plays into the more direct actions as well. Foden. Let's talk about Phil Foden. We'll get into Haaland more specifically, but I did have a big Haaland rant in LB stream, so I feel like I want to start with Foden and this rant here. If you follow my Twitter, then you'll know what I'm about to talk about. Yeah, Foden was good yesterday. Of course he was. The two best moments for me were obviously the assist, because that pass is brilliant. I actually think that my favourite pass, it didn't result in a goal, but it was the one where like Foden picks out on the left side, plays it to Haaland, and he tries to sort of like jump kick it or like overhead kick it, like a middle ground they're in. Doesn't quite. I think it maybe takes a slight touch, so it just evades him. That was probably my more preferred pass. There's this weird thing going round in the like Twitter Tactico community. I don't know if that's the right term. Basically, there have been certain accounts who analyze football who have for some reason reached the conclusion that Phil Foden isn't that good when it comes to creating via the pass. Is the long and short of it. I'm simplifying it there. They aren't saying he can't pass outright, but they are saying that he's not particularly good at it in respect of like creating from like let's say distance, for example. That's not true. That's not true. The sort of justification for these people saying it is, well, he can't replace De Bruyne in that very particular element, therefore he can't do it at all. Is what they are basically saying, because they're comparing, because the argument is, you know, is Foden the long-term successor to De Bruyne? And they go, no, he can't, because Foden can't do this. He can't do that. De Bruyne is obviously like the maybe the greatest creator over distance, you know, in terms of like long passes, etc. I think he's only played half the season, but he's got some of the best expected assists in the Premier League in terms of creating via the pass. But so let me get this straight. Because Foden can't do it to the same level or standard as De Bruyne, that means he can't do it. So because he can't do it to the same standard as the greatest midfielder in Premier League history and the greatest midfielder in the world and one of the best passers this game has seen, he therefore can't do it at all. Therefore, we might as well stop that experiment now. As if, like, Foden, first of all, can't do it already, but secondly, as if Foden is only a child. As Tone says, Foden's 23, he's still learning. Yeah, I think he's going to be 24 this month. He's a young player this is his first season where he's actually had some games in midfield. So obviously he's going to get better at it. Obviously he's not going to be as good as De Bruyne at it, who's the best in the world at it. And the thing is, he can do it. We literally saw it yesterday. The assist, that brilliant pass from the left-hand side. Just because he's not been given that responsibility yet, doesn't mean that he's not. It doesn't mean he can't do it. It doesn't mean that he won't get better at it. So that was a little rant I need to get out of the way. I don't know if you guys have come across that argument online as well. But yeah, people are trying to suggest that, like, Foden, that's not a string to his bow, and I just think that that's foolish. To be honest, I don't know how else to label it. I don't know how you can watch Foden and come to the conclusion that he can't do that or that he's bad at it. Sure, he's better at carrying the ball. And sure, that's not necessarily his greatest attribute yet. But I don't think anyone's claiming that he can do it to De Bruyne standards. I don't think anyone's claiming that, you know, Foden's better at, you know, long passes than he is at, you know, than playing short or carrying the ball. It just frustrates me. I think people look at a player and go, well, because he's show Toby, because he's and this makes me laugh. I don't follow them, tell them, they just come up on my feed. It frustrates me. Maybe I should mute them, I don't know. But I do think it's important to see their points of view, because otherwise you live in an echo chamber. Like, I was on Judge Mo's channel the other day, and like someone put in the super chat saying, you know, Foden's held to a lower standard than Saka. for example, people are comparing him to Kevin De Bruyne, the greatest standard you can reach. People are saying that he can't pass because fucking Kevin, because he's not as good as De Bruyne at it. What? That's the highest standard you can reach. That's me. Hello, DR's a West Ham fan. Don't you think Paquetá's wanted by Pep to... Yeah, DR. But we need more of it. I'm not denying that we need Paquetá because long-term De Bruyne needs to go. But this idea that Foden can't do it... Again, Paquetá's another player. Paquetá can do that element of the game better than Foden. Right now, 5th of May 2024, that's not in dispute. And we need more of that in the team. That's not in dispute. I'm having a go at the people who are saying that he can't do it outright and are saying that because he can't do it to the same level as some of the best... Again, doesn't Paquetá hold the record this season for most through balls as something insane? Like, these are very, very elite players in terms of that aspect of the game. So we're holding Foden, and it's great we're holding Foden to this high standard because it shows how good he is. But to then reach the conclusion, oh, he's not as good as these great players, therefore he can't do it, therefore he's irrelevant. It's disingenuous, it's dishonest, it's arguing from a position of ignorance, and it frustrates me. It frustrates me, to be honest. This is something that we as City fans have to push back against, because I feel like we don't back our players as much as maybe we should. I don't want us to go too far and overrate our players, but there are some fan bases out there, online, small minority. Well, that's what minority means, Nobbins, you idiot. A minority is by definition small. Well, I guess you could have a minority which is 49%. Anyway, who back their players too much. We can't become that, but we've got to defend them a little bit more. Because people are spreading vicious lies and slander about libel against our players, and it's upsetting me. Darren Bennett, that's a great shout, DJ. Staying at offside position caused a bit of confusion. DJ, you and me are on the same wavelength. Matata, thank you so much for subscribing. If you are new, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to leave a like, guys. We're nearly at what I said for 100 likes. Let's get to 125 though now. I am greedy. 125 likes, guys, and I will be a happy boy for the next 20 minutes or so. Lee Cattermole is one of my least favourite players I've ever seen, man. Hello, Lackbeer. Thank you for joining me. I believe you're a Liverpool fan. Thank you. So, yeah, this channel's not just for City fans, by the way, guys. I think you'll exploit Spurs. They always play a high line and never have a plan B. I hope you are right, mate. I hope you are correct. I think same with Foden and set piece. He's been improving a lot since given responsibilities. I would like to see Foden take more corners. We do have De Bruyne, but as we discussed, he's not particularly good at them. Foden's got a decent corner on him, and he's only going to get better as he takes them. Yeah, he's good at set pieces, in my opinion. I would like, and also if he takes more of them, he's obviously just going to get more output, and then maybe people will shut up about the output conversations. But there we go. Do you notice the hate you're getting on LB's live? The hate you're getting on LB's live stream? I was getting hate. Why? That's not very nice. Was I there? If I was there, I don't remember that. That's a bit of a shame. Am I the only one who thinks Bellingham is crazy overrated? People have overrated him because people are treating him like he's Zidane or something. This is a totally different conversation for another day. But people have got it in their head for no reason at all that Jude Bellingham is a 10 and has been a 10 his entire life, and all he can do is be a 10. And I would just ask them, right, what attribute is it that you like most about Bellingham at 10? No, I'm not saying it would have been from LB. Of course it wouldn't have been. But, you know, but if I was on the stream, then I wouldn't have been getting hate, because I think the chat is always nice when I'm there. For me, his best attribute is crashing the box late on. Can only 10s do that? Because I was under the impression that box crashing was a fantastic trait one associates with Gundogan. Is Gundogan a 10? No. He's an 8. So he can still do that. It annoys me. Spurs White, only reason their defence is decent is Mickey Van der Vent's a rapid player. Romero thinks he is Ramos. There does definitely need to be improvement there. Donna, big up to you. Paquetá's perfect, totally agree. Yeah, thank you so much for... If you are new, make sure to subscribe. I know you've got a Foden agenda, DR. That's because you're a little fraudster. Rivals can't praise their own players without trying to tear it down at Foden. And this is why it's so silly when people say Foden isn't held to high standards. Like, I swear, the entirety of football Twitter hates Phil Foden for some reason. I don't quite get it. I don't really understand. Thank you, E-Ink, for the super chat. We'll get into that in a moment. I'm now Fraudiola. Yeah, I don't like when. Just because we'll get into back into the post-mortem shortly. But like the amount of like disingenuous takes and just ridiculous takes that came out in the light of Foden winning the Football Writers Player of the Year, an award he deserves, by the way, in my humble opinion. People are saying stuff like it's racist. Like, I don't know what planet these people live on. I actually don't know what planet these individuals live on. It's just staggering to me. Am I single and available? No, I'm not, Donna. I am taken. I am indeed of legal age for dating, but I am taken, Donna, I'm afraid. Hello, Daniel. I absolutely am, Donna. Shout out to you. So LNobbins is 20. I'm actually, that is an incredible compliment. Thank you so much. Could I pass for 20? I'll take that. I would take that. Good Lord. Mad. Kescon's are dead. Yeah, I agree. Hello, Gregs. I believe it's Scorpio. Would you sell Walker? It might be the time, you know. It might be the time. If you want a book recommendation for both your mental health and critical thinking, check out Beginning of Infinity. Is it a football book, Jürgen, or is it just like a general book? Let me know. That's not very nice, Dash. That's outrageous. Who's having a go at me? What have I said? What have I said? What have I done? I am class. I am class. It's fun because as soon as Mbappe jumps with Bellingham will go, that too, Photon. That's what I mean. Probably Joe. But yeah, stop comparing Foden, Palmer, Saka. Can't they all just be good? No, Tone, you've got to compare them. You've got to do it every single week as well. But yeah, shout out, Ian. Thank you so much for your support on the super chat. No, LB wouldn't hate me. He's the boy. He is the boy. Off topic, no, but looking at the state of Bayern board and services, I think he might consider it a Premier League move, hopefully to the blue side of Manchester. Wait, who's that? Sorry. He might consider a Premier League move. Who's that? Who are we talking about? So fine, okay, don't pass for 20 then, never mind. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from, man. I don't know. I don't even know who to, because I'm sorry, but like most people are saying the second best would be Rice, who's obviously, you know, he's basmati, white rice. If people are talking about Saka, then he's not even top 5. He's not. I think he's not even been Arsenal's 4th best player this season. Never mind put him in the top 5 conversation for player of the year. So I actually don't. I don't know what planet these people are living on, to be honest. I don't know what planet these people are living on. But there we go. The Wolves goal was disappointing. Edison was not good. In terms of that goal. But what I liked, and what I think we should all appreciate about Edison, is he is so confident in a good way. Not arrogant. He's so confident that he can make that mistake, it doesn't impact him. 30 seconds later, or whatever it is, like a minute later, he plays a ridiculous pass into Foden, and the goal comes about because of that. He could, a lesser footballer lets that get into their heads, they make further mistakes. Edison very rarely makes more than one big mistake again. It's not like he makes a big mistake and then that leads into a spiral where he makes further mistakes. He makes a big mistake and then he makes a big move for the 4th goal. The 4th goal. Nothing bothers him, and we need that. If you're going to be a goalkeeper, like Edison, you need that. I saw I saw, shout out to Sam, who I do like, and is very funny. Calling him out. His top 5 was the worst I have ever seen. In fact, I can't actually fully remember it because let me just refresh my mind of what his top 5 was. It was the most egregious, horrendous top 5 I have ever seen. This is in terms of player of the season. Let me just get into it. Yeah, I'll have to comment saying because Sam's top 5 is absolute horror. So let me just refresh my brain. Spoilers, guys. Foden wasn't in the top 5. Right, here we go. Wait. Right, so he's got Rodri. Rodri number 1. Declan Rice number 2. Cole Palmer number 3. Ollie Watkins number 4. 5 Gabriel. That is the most egregious list I've ever seen. Gabriel hasn't even been Arsenal's best defender this season. Cole Palmer is a madness to include in the top 5. No Foden at all. The order is horrendous, but more importantly, the inclusions are horrendous. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how these opinions can exist in the world. But yeah, as I say, no Foden at all. Palmer in the top 5. I don't think he should be there. Probably. It just how many? 9 are penalties, Tone. So if we're going to use purely output, we've got to take into account the fact that there are penalties there as well. Matthew, I don't know what they were saying. Watkins should be in the top 5, 100%. Watkins should be in the top 5, but to not have Foden in there is mental. To have Gabriel in there is mental. Maybe in a separate stream we'll do our Premier League team of the season. We'll do top 5, but you've got to have Foden in there. Obviously, you've got to have Foden at the top. I think Van Dijk should be in there personally. I'm not interested in the recent Liverpool fall off. Van Dijk has still been unbelievable across the season because remember it's a team of the season. I'm still having Van Dijk in there. I'm obviously having Rodri in there. I'm having Rice in there. And then who else am I having? Probably Watkins. There you go. That's probably my top 5. Not necessarily in that order, but that's a much more reasonable top 5. Yeah, sure, Tone. Sure. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Yes, guys, we are streaming 3 p.m. on the Twitch Football Manager. Make sure to join me for that. We just continue the conversation over there. It's a more chilled environment as well. And you guys get to watch me be really bad at Football Manager as well. Diaz says, do you think Haaland go for Player of the Season, Ballon d'Or conversation over being top 10 Player of the Year? Well, there's not a question there. There's not a question there, DR. Help me. But yeah, so that's that. That's the Foden situation. We've been. Oh, is it worrying now? This is first season post Mulder. Where let's talk about that, shall we? Let's talk about Haaland now because we've had 40 minutes on the stream. We've somehow not managed to really mention Haaland once, who scored 4 goals yesterday. Let's not make any mistake about it. The Haaland is still having a good season. When I say that he's having a subpar season or an off season, that is for his standards, which are astronomically high. Okay, he is still underperforming in terms of finishing. However, he is still having a season which is better than the vast majority of strikers across world football. This is a blip in terms of his underperforming. The first time it's happened post-Mulder. Again, history tells us it won't happen again. So for that reason, I'm not concerned at all. His general play, hold-up play, link-up play has actually gone up a level this season. What I want to see more from him, in addition to the hold-up and link-up play being improved, which it is, I need to see him being more assertive in the air. I know it's lazy to say that because he's tall, he should be good in the air. But I'm sorry, if you are 6'5", that's a weapon. That is a weapon which we need to be exploiting and using, especially when teams camp and congest the midfield and make it so that the only option is out wide, it makes it so that crossing becomes a necessity and a very important potential plan B. And that salmon dive header goal that he scored, it was perfect, and we need to see more of that, definitely. Because if that's a further string to his bow he can add, he's not terrible in the air, but for a player of his strength and size, in my opinion, he should be better. If we can unlock that strength, then he goes up a further level, which is even more terrifying from a Haaland perspective. 2 of them were penalties, yes, of course. That final goal was brilliant. He looks. We talked about this in LB stream. He looked refreshed. He looked ready. He just looked so confident. Same thing with the Forest goal as well. Like the goal he scored when he came on against Forest. He stood his defender up, beat him, scores the goal. Same against Wolves. Stands his defender up, beats him, scores a fantastic finish. He is not a tapping merchant at all. This notion that he can only score if it's on a plate for him is ridiculous. He can easily beat a man. His dribbling is actually underrated. His ability to create that separation between himself and the defender to create the opportunity for himself is wonderful. And the finish speaks for itself. We should win the title if he continues this run of form. We should do. Yeah, Haaland, there's not really much I can say about him. 4 goals, brilliant performance. The hunger as well is what I really liked. He was on the bench. He was angry. He wanted more. He knew he could have scored 5. And only a few players have scored 5 in the Premier League. Aguero's one of them. I know Defoe has. Berbatov has. I think someone else may have done. There's not many players who have done that. So he could have and should have put himself on that list. He was angry with himself, and that's good. That means that next game against Fulham, he's going to want to score immediately, as soon as possible. And that's why it's fantastic for Haaland. And back-to-back golden boots. Not bad for an off-season. These are the standards we hold him to. Haaland in an off-season is still better than the vast majority of strikers. Man City in an off-season is still better than the vast majority of teams. Don't get twisted when I've been criticising certain City players and City this season and our tactics this season. We're still one of the best in the world, even when we're not at our best. And that's terrifying. That if you're a rival, I would be terrified of us next season. We're only going to get better. We're only going to bring in better players who will make the squad more balanced. Haaland's not going to have an off-season next season. No chance. History tells us he won't. It's scary. The dribbling is underrated. Yeah, now can he do it to can he do it to Riyad Mahrez or Bernardo Silva standards? No, but it looks like a very clunky way he dribbles, but it actually works. Like you think of the Bayern goal as well. Last season, I think was it at Bayern or maybe I can't. Hopefully you guys know the goal I'm talking about, where you can say Upamecano slips and that's fine, but he still ends up beating him. It's really good close control and really nice, clever footwork from Haaland. He can do it, and he has got it in his locker. People who don't watch City decide that he's a plank, or people who only watch the highlights decide he's a plank, and they are foolish people. Don't be like that. Yeah. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look majestic, but I'd tell you what, it's underrated, and it's actually pretty effective ultimately. Robin was in our dressing room yesterday. Brilliant. He said after the game he was frustrated because he kept getting brought down and the ref wasn't giving fouls. This is a consequence of how strong and tall he is. That sort of the referees don't help him as much as they should. Haaland should have won an extra 3 or 4 penalties this season, and the amount of shirt pulling and grabbing that goes on in the box. I'm amazed he hasn't got more penalties, but it's because it's a prejudice because he's strong, and he's tall. So for some reason it's not given. I agree, Matthew. His playmaking is also underrated. That is for sure. Goal for surprise penalty won yesterday were fantastic. Yeah, totally agree with that, Anstey. Bruce says, I find it difficult to overlook Rodri. This year he's been good. This year he's been disappointed because he's dropped to an 8, but when he's good, which he usually is, he's nearly perfect. Yeah, again, Rodri held to very high standards. Rightly so. But yeah, Rodri's still fantastic. And I personally don't really understand where the Rice over Rodri season argument comes into play. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I've watched a lot of Arsenal this season. I've watched a lot of City this season, obviously. Watched a lot of those respective players. I can't get behind the idea that Rice has been better than Rodri this season. I don't know where it's I don't know where it's come from, to be honest. Start of the season, maybe, but overall, I don't think so. Yeah, I totally agree, Bendiv. Haaland's the best crossing accuracy for City players this season. Really? That's weird. This is link up play. Says Rich. They were not scared by that Foden one-on-one. Very precise passes. Yeah, totally agree. We've relied on individual brilliance this season, and Roger's been there every time, guys. So clear. Yeah. Again, I don't know. Yeah, right. Okay. Again, I'm not having to go at Hassam because again, I like Hassam. But I had to because like Mo sent me that section where I discussed Hassam's top 5. I tried to watch that show from start to finish just to try. I had to turn it off. I had to turn it off because it was just so frustrating to listen to, and the N word, and I don't mean the naughty one, the narrative word, was said about 50 times. I don't think people understand what the word means in the context that they're trying to use it in. Because he kept saying, and it's not just Sam, like lots of people have said this, like there's a narrative around Foden winning the Player of the Year. What do people mean by that? I don't know what people think they mean the word narrative means in this context. Because when we say narrative in this context, what we are meaning is what we actually mean is forced narrative. There's a hidden word there which people aren't really using, which they should be using when we say this word. People are actually saying forced narrative or false narrative. There is no false narrative that Foden has been our best player this season. There is no false narrative that Foden stepped up when De Bruyne was injured this season. There is no false narrative that Foden has been controlling and influencing our games this season. There is no false narrative that when Foden plays in midfield, we never lose. I don't... This word is being overused and it's being used incorrectly. And it's... And I did... One of my minors at university was English literature. It annoys me when people aren't using the English language correctly. Stop doing it. Please. For my sanity. I don't... What do people mean by this? It's a narrative. There's a narrative going around. What? That he's been the best player this season? Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Sorry, I had a little fit there, guys. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, for me, there's a crucial difference between your best player and your most important player. Of course, Rodri's our most important player. And this is another dead argument. There's another dead argument. Guys, you ready for this dead argument, guys? You ready for it? You ready for it? You ready for it? You ready for it? Because the team goes down a level... Sorry, because the team goes further down when Rodri's not on the pitch compared to Foden, therefore Rodri's been better this season. Who is Rodri's replacement in the Man City squad? No one. Who is Phil Foden's replacement in the Man City squad? It's Kevin De Bruyne. It's Bernardo Silva. It's very, very good midfielders. The gap between Rodri and nothing, i.e. infinity, funnily enough, is a lot bigger than the gap between Foden and the rest of our creative midfielders. An infinite gap, funnily enough. That's how infinity works. This is not a point. If we had Gundogan in the team, we would not see a significant drop, because Gundogan can do the job perfectly well and perfectly respectably. If we had a competent understudy to Rodri, we would not see that gap. But because one doesn't exist, the weaknesses and the frailties are heightened. This is no argument, and DJ's outlined it perfectly. That is purely down to the squad, not his ability. Yes, it's because we don't have a Rodri replacement. Whereas if Foden's out of the team, of course we don't see the impact. We do see an impact, by the way. Like Foden, we missed Foden against Forest. But if Foden's not there, we have Kevin De Bruyne. If Foden isn't there, we have Bernardo Silva. If Foden's not there, we have Kovacic. If Foden's not there, we have even Oscar Bob. Grealish, Doku, all these creative players. If Rodri's not there, we're shafted. And that's because we did not bring in a suitable understudy, a suitable replacement. It's nothing to do that is no argument, guys. That is no point. It just annoys me. Well, I've gone on a bit of a tangent here. But that's fine. I think you guys like my tangents. If you don't like my tangents, let me know. Do a drunk stream, says Harsha. We will do one for the FA Cup final, Harsha. Don't you worry about that. We'll do a drinking game. You have something to say. Rich, you don't have to announce you got something to say, mate. You can just say it. It's all good. Is there anything else I want we to talk about for nearly an hour? Anything else to talk specifically about the game before I just like continue with other rants? Keep your questions and comments coming in, by the way, guys. You've got anything else you'd like me to touch on? Anything else? We've touched on the tactics. We've touched on the more direct play, and what the benefits there are, and what the benefits that are therein. I'd like to see us keep doing that. Foden was fantastic. De Bruyne was good. Again, in transition, he's just brilliant. Haaland speaks for himself. But Bernardo looked good as well. I think that rest has really done the players good. That's lazy analysis to say the players needed a rest. I think they needed a rest. They looked dead on their arses in the FA Cup against Chelsea, and then they had to go play against Forest like a few days later. They looked sharp. They looked ready. I think hopefully they look ready and fully at it for the title run-in. 100%. Kova was solid. Rodri's Rodri, man. And it's so funny. We're going back into that just because like I saw like a BT Sport thing, which is the most basic stats I've ever seen. It's so boring. They're talking about like, goal contributions, and they're bigging it up like Rice has now got more goal contributions than Rodri. Well, a few hours later, Rodri's got more. That's a very good point, Bendiv. We've not even touched on Gvardiol. We haven't that's how much there's been to talk about. Gvardiol, I'm so happy that we were right in terms of defending this man. He is ridiculously good. There's definitely a role for him at left wing, starting from left back, assuming we get enough bodies around him and enough options around him, and if we play quicker, because this guy seemingly can do everything. If that's the long-term strategy, then I would like to see the crossing worked on, I think, because he would need to become a crossing threat if that's going to be the long-term thing. That's something we missed against Arsenal, for example. That can definitely happen. And it may well be the case that we need to see Walker, a right back, so maybe not a Theo Hernandez at left back. Maybe I was totally off on that. And I might be changing my tune on that, especially if Walker's leaving. We need that player there. LB and I just discussed it. For me, the perfect player would be a Reece James, a Gusto, not realistic, but that mould of player, I think, could be perfect on that right side. Someone who would be, in theory, comfortable at right centre-back with the ball, someone who can also play right back without it, someone who can play right wing with it. That is the sort of player we need. Akanji, work out nicely, Gvardiol wing back. What is Pep doing with these players? Yeah. Total football. It is the Netherlands from 1974. It's Johan Cruyff's Barcelona sides. It's Johan Cruyff's Dutch sides of the 70s. Reece James is good when he's fit. That's the issue. Reece James. That's why I said the mold of Reece James. If Reece James was fully fit and not a Chelsea youth academy player, I'd say go all in on for him. But it's not going to happen. So Sammy, I don't actually know who's going to replace him. That mold of player is what we need. I'm not saying that player. That mold of player. A Reece James, a Gusto. Those sorts of traits, that sort of profile is what I would like us to see. Walker from like 7-8 years ago would be ideal. It annoys me to oblivion. Bellingham will probably win the Ballon d'Or because he plays for Real Madrid and they might be winning a treble. Might be winning a treble. I don't think they're in the... But because they won the Super Cup. Did they win the Super Cup? I think they did. Yeah, okay, fairs. What's your ideal date? Depends how I'm feeling, Donna. First brilliant season, says Rodri. Actually, both of us in their best form in terms of GA. That's because both are stepping up. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, Rodri stepping up to do the Gundogan role is ridiculous. Sorry, this is right. He's an 8 when plays a 6. He's no effective. Hence, Jorginho and Partey had to fill in for him. And yeah, there was this vicious rumour that Rice was like God incarnate in respect of defensive midfielders, and that he could lock up the midfield all on his own, and he didn't need a partner, and he could be a single pivot 6, and he could do the entire job on his own. No, he couldn't. No, he couldn't. That's why our stuff looks so much better post-Jan, more so when it's been Jorginho or Partey playing alongside him in midfield, and when Rice has been pushed up with the ball. He actually plays more as an 8 with the ball. So those people were wrong. Those people were foolish, as we guys know. And no one can play that. Unless you are Makaleli in 2005, or unless you are Fernandinho in 2018, no defensive midfielder can do that. It's a very, very specific skill set. As I say, very, very few players can do it. Prime Fernandinho, one of those players. Prime Makaleli, one of those players who can lock up the midfield on their own and provide for 2 out-and-out more offensive midfielders to play ahead of them. No one else can do that. No one else can do that. Declan Rice can't do it. Rodri can't do it. There's no shame in that. It's a very specific defensive midfielder that can do it. Busquets couldn't even do it. Xavi would often sit alongside him in that respect. There's no shame in that. Again, it's a very specific sort of defensive midfielder. So people just need to stop overselling, I think. You've got a very good player in Declan Rice. Wonderful. Top 3 best player of the season, probably. At least top 4, at least. But don't dress him up as something he isn't, and don't put him into Rodri conversations, because it's not a thing. And so, do you prefer to take some defense responsibility for Rodri? I think a Gundo replacement for me, DJ. I've held the view that Rodri can still do that, but I've held the view that Rodri is the best DM in the world. Play him at DM. Play him at DM. If you're coming to the Spurs Stadium for City game, get in touch with me. I'll arrange a seat for you in VIP. Thank you for that, Donna. The players looked energetic. Yeah, they looked rested. They looked ready. Foden won't win the Ballon d'Or purely because of the Champions League factor, I'm afraid. It's incredibly difficult to do to win the Ballon d'Or without getting late into the Champions League. So glad Ake stayed. Yeah. There's definitely a world in which they can coexist, Gvardiol and Ake in the same team as well. Definitely. Bilbao won the Copa del Rey. So I think Real Madrid won the Super Cup though. So it's killing it at Bruges. It might be a bit of a risk, yeah. Rice always better next to someone else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rice when he was alongside Souček, for example. And there's no shame in that, but people just need to chill out. People just need to chill out. I was supposed to go back to Patrick Vieira, Jesus. Pep needs to play the back 4 until the end of the season. 4 clean sheets so far. Fernandinho was a god. Love that guy. Yeah, it was absolutely unbelievable. Rodri could do it for that best. I don't know if I agree, because like what Rodri's not good at is defending that space in transition. That's what that was Fernandinho's bread and butter, and that was Makaleli's bread and butter. They were less good on the ball, obviously. I mean, Fernandinho was a lot better than Makaleli on the ball. Makaleli's quotes are weird, man. This guy overrates his playmaking ability so much. You were not that guy. You were not that guy. You were not Fernandinho. Like, reel it in, mate. Reel it in. Just because the role's named after you doesn't mean that you were the best at it. Fernandinho took that role and mastered it and upgraded it. Haaland's playing with injuries and painkillers. Now he looks a lot fitter, says Jason. Yeah, he was clearly injured against Real Madrid. That's why he came off. And he just looks so much better. For it, nearly 200 people here, guys. Let's push it up to 150 likes, please. Love that from you. And he never will, Tone, because he's a defensive midfielder who don't get rated as highly as they should in any event. But then, more importantly, he wasn't a flashy defensive midfielder. He did the dark arts very well, but again, his playmaking was underrated. Nowhere near the level of Rodri, obviously, but still one of the best. And it was so disrespectful when people were comparing him to Fabinho. Brother. Fabinho. Defensively, fine. Going forwards, it's night and day. It is night and day. Fabinho was an incredibly limited footballer in that respect, compared to Fernandinho anyway. It's just disrespectful. Hello, Musty. These are my moderators, by the way, guys. They love me. Once again, guys, I'll repeat. We are going live on Twitch at 3 p.m. today for some Football Manager. I'm feeling a lot better. If you haven't followed the Twitch, what you're doing, the link is there. It's just LNobbins over on Twitch. We do gaming streams. As I say, Football Manager, Grasshopper Zurich. But there we go. One of Rice's big attributes is his athleticism, getting round the pitch. Yeah, and that's why I tell you what, a partnership of Rice and Rodri would be unbeatable, because Rice's best attribute, i.e. his covering of distance and space, is Rodri's biggest weakness. And Rice's biggest weakness, for me, maybe you could say like his ability to break lines, his playmaking, his on-ball attributes, one of Rodri's biggest strengths. So they would complement, and that's why we were in for Rice. They would complement each other perfectly. Oh yeah, Matthew, if you want to come see my tactics, come to the stream later, 3 p.m. Thank you, Rich. Love that from you. Why can't Phone and Kevin play well together in a game? They played well together yesterday, Fia. Hello? They played well together a number of times this season. Hello? Donna is not happening, Lou, man. Is there anything else you guys want us to discuss before we head off? They'd be horrible to play against each other. Yeah, I don't... In terms of like a rest defense, I don't think you are... I genuinely think that if City got Rice, because of how perfect that partnership would be, I do think there is a world where we would challenge that Chelsea record in terms of goals conceded. I don't think you're getting past that team. Remaining games, well, let's have a look at the league table momentarily. This is the state of play. Liverpool are out of it. Obviously they are. That's not an issue. There is no way. What's the maximum points that Liverpool can even get now? 84. There's no world in which Arsenal are drawing, losing, and then that goal difference being made up. So obviously Liverpool are out of it. My percentage of winning the league, Musty, has not changed since Liverpool got knocked out. I'm still 50-50. I'm 50-50 between Arsenal and City. Maybe like 51 City, 49 Arsenal. Because it's hard. It's hard because it's whoever blinks first, if there is a blink. I've got to make City slight favourites because they technically, if they win their game in hand, they will have the advantage. But if City drop any points, then we're out of it. If Arsenal drop any points, they're out of it. So it's a tricky one, obviously. We play Fulham away next. Fulham are not playing for anything. Their form, you can look at that for their form. Their form is bad. They've lost, won, lost, draw. Fulham are not a bad side, but they are not a great side. They are 12th in the table. They are about the quality of Wolves, and we just battered Wolves. I appreciate it's away from home, but that is the level we are working at. They are about as good as Brighton. They're about as good as Bournemouth. They're about as good as Fulham. Bournemouth's a bit of an outlier because they're actually deceptively better than they are now because when the new manager came in. But you get what I mean. We should be beating them. That is not the game I see us dropping points in. I also see us beating West Ham at home. No offense, DR. The game, and it sounds obvious, well, the games, one was Forest away. We managed to overcome that hurdle. But that I was right to be concerned about that one. Because we shouldn't have won that game, to be honest. Spurs away is the one, and I don't care. I know I just talked about form. I don't care that they've lost 3 in a row. It's Spurs, and we all know we don't play well against Spurs. We're still yet to score a Premier League goal at Spurs' new ground. If any points are going to be dropped, it's going to be in the next match week, where it's Spurs away and it's United away for Arsenal. That is if any points are going to be dropped, it will most likely be then. So the biggest hurdle is still to come. But we are Man City and we still should be looking to win those games. And we are now playing a style of football which is beneficial to our best players. We should be winning. And the other context is that I don't think that there is a world in which Spurs aren't actually going to be playing for anything. Because if Villa, like, unless Villa because that's going to be the penultimate game of the season, isn't it? So Villa will have played like one more. So maybe they can get a win, I don't know. Spurs may well lose another game before then, because I think will they play before then? I think they play midweek, I'm not 100%, I assume they do. There might be a world where that realistically, they're not even competing for top 4. Like Villa may have effectively locked it in. So they'll be, quote, on the beaches, as they say, or rather not necessarily playing for anything serious outside of like professional pride and courtesy. Whereas City will obviously be going for the title. Oh, yeah, of course, they play Liverpool today, don't they? So hopefully Liverpool win. You won't hear me say that much. You won't hear me say that frequently. But if Liverpool win today, and I think it'd be very beneficial if they do. That would mean that Spurs will play the same amount of games as Villa, but they'll be 7 points behind. 7. So it would be very, very unlikely. So Villa would have to win one more game, and then it's lights out. The maximum points they could get is 69. Villa would be on 70. So they would not be fighting for top 4 because mathematically they wouldn't have been able to get it. Yeah, hopefully Villa will have secured top 4. So then it would just be a question of, if Newcastle keep flying, it would be a point of, will they get 5th or 6th? But the point being they won't be playing for Champions League football, which is big. Love you too, Dragon. So that's a good time. United, they're not playing for anything either, but they hate Arsenal, of course they do. I know they hate City as well, but like the fans hate Arsenal. The players are not going to. They've had obviously a bad season, and they're going to be wanting to end with their final home game on a high. So they're not going to. I don't think Alisson's going to roll over, if that makes sense, but it's not a certainty that Arsenal win at Old Trafford. I'm going to assume, for argument's sake, that they will win, but it's not a certainty, and we've just got to focus on ourselves, to be honest. Spurs backline to give us the win, I hope so. United playing for Europe, yeah, true. I think Rice Mopey was the same play at 6 and presumed he did the same job at West Ham. I mean, to be fair, I also see him playing as a 6, but not like a lone 6. Like, he'd have someone alongside him. That is for sure. Yeah, people thinking he'd do the job on his own are a little bit mad. Who is Dyer? I don't know, Roshan. I don't care about Arsenal games anymore, says Musty. I think that's the way we've got to look at it. If we focus on ourselves, we will be absolutely fine. And if we focus on ourselves and we just win our games, we'll win the league. It's irrelevant what Arsenal do, as long as we do our job. That's the key, guys. And that's how it's been post Arsenal draw. We knew, or we suspected, that if we won 9 out of 9, we presumed that Arsenal and Liverpool would drop some points in that period. Lo and behold, they both have. Not in the games I expected them to, but they have. So that holds true. Our games are indeed winnable. Yeah, again, they're not a given, but we should be looking to win them. And if we win them, we will obviously win the league 4 in a row. And then we can have a lovely stream celebrating it. And we'll talk about, the whole, what's been going on. What's been going on this year. Yeah, we haven't lost since that. I think it was December against Villa, was it? Like 4th of December or something mad. Absolute insanity. Guys, we're 5 likes away from 150. Let's get to 150 likes before we wrap up the stream. I'll be live for another 15-ish minutes, guys. Any final questions or topics that we want to discuss? Oi, respect the team. Well, you said we were going to sweep. You can't stop changing your predictions every time, yeah? You're wrong. Accept it, yeah? We may very well lose now, but we didn't get... I knew we weren't going to get swept, and that has happened. And we were so good last night against the Nuggets, and they can hold that, honestly. Anthony Edwards is Michael Jordan incarnate. No cap. We're not going yet, Rich. We're not going yet. Don't you worry. We're live for another 15 if you guys want to keep asking us questions here. Guys, I have got... If City don't lose another game until the end of the season, or if they maybe lose one more game, I've got the dirtiest data and statistic for you guys. Which, should I reveal now anyway? No, I'll do it. Yeah, fuck it. I had some research yesterday, guys. Because I'm a sad man. Right, here's the thing, guys. The Arsenal Invincibles, and Toby knows this, he's an Arsenal fan, we talked about this. The name has always annoyed me, to be honest. Because they lost 6 games that season. So... You know, I am indeed a sad man, bored. They lost 6 games. Now, when people are, Nico's texting me on Instagram. Why? Why have you texted me on Instagram? Yeah. So when people are saying that, Invincibles, well, they weren't. They lost 6 times. I don't use Snapchat, but I use Twitter. We've got a Discord server if you guys want to chat to me. If you want to get into my DMs, you can sign up to my Patreon where I do answer all my DMs. Yeah, League Invincible, but that's fine, Musty. But they don't say League Invincibles. They just say the Invincible season, or in 2004 when Arsenal went invincible. But they didn't. They lost 6 games. They lost twice against Middlesbrough. In the Musty, please can you provide Discord link, please? They lost twice in the League Cup against the mighty Middlesbrough. And they lost 3 times in the Champions League. Once against Inter Milan, once against Spartak Moscow, I think, or Dynamo Kiev. It was one of them. Once against Chelsea, and they lost against United in the FA Cup. So they lost 6 times. Would you guys like to hazard a guess how many Premier League sides across all competitions have equaled or bettered that record? It's incredibly impressive to only lose 6 games. It's not an invincible season, though. DJ says, what Leverkusen are doing currently is invincible. Would anyone like to hazard a guess? Because they've lost 6 games. Invite invalid. Musty, can you help me out, please? In all competitions, how many teams do you think have lost... In the Premier League era, sorry. Yeah, if you want to call them the League Invincibles, that's absolutely fine. But people don't call it that. They say the Invincibles or the Invincible season. It's not. It's not an Invincible season. You lost 6 times. Get your guesses in now, guys. Musty said 7. Do we have any more guesses? How many teams have done that? Again, still a very impressive achievement. I'm not saying it's common by any means, but it's not a unique achievement is what I'm trying to say. Get your numbers in, guys. I want to see some numbers. How many? Harsha says 4. Sean says 6. These are some good guesses. Keep the numbers coming in, guys. What do we think? Treble better than Invincible. That's like, oh yeah, it's not even close. Drankus says, I don't think Leverkusen will do it. I hope they do, Drankus. That would be the first ever genuine Invincible season with a team also competing in Europe. This is just in the Premier League era. 3 says B, good guess. 8 says Acumen, good guess. Alex says 8, good guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm actually counting myself. 9. 9 other teams in the Premier League era have done this achievement. City have lost 4 games this season. We have lost less games than the Invincibles so far. Now, we may well lose the FA Cup final, and we may well lose against Spurs, in which case we would equal it. We might lose against West Ham and therefore not beat it. But the chances are that City are going to tie that amount of games unbeaten. That amount of games unbeaten. I'll tell you the times it happened. Man United in 93-94. So, sorry, these are the teams which equaled it. Man United in 93-94, Chelsea in 06-07, Chelsea in 07-08, Man City in 18-19. These are the teams which have beaten it. These teams only lost 5 times. United in 98-99, and they won the treble. Liverpool in 08-09, didn't win anything. Chelsea in 14-15 lost 4 games. Liverpool 21-22 only lost 4 games. I know they didn't have Europe, but Leicester in 15-16 lost 4 games in all competitions. Only 4. 2 less than the Invincibles. If City don't lose a game from now to the end of the season, we'll have only lost 4 games this season. Only 4. 3 in the Prem, 1 in one in the League Cup. Haven't we lost less games than Invincibles every time we've won the league under Pep? No. Because we lost more in 17-18. Because we lost too many games in the Champions League. In like the group stages. The only time City have done it are 18-19. That was when we equaled it. And as I say, the only other time would be this year. We lost 7 games last season. Because we lost too many in the league. We lost 5 in the league, I think. We lost, and we lost in the Community Shield as well. And we lost in the League Cup. So that's where the games are made up. So we didn't lose in the Champions League. Didn't lose in the FA Cup, but we lost once in the League Cup, once in the Community Shield, 5 times in the league. So yeah, the only time City make this list are 18-19. If we might make this list 23-24. That was just a little mini rant because I don't like they aren't invincible. It does count, but for data purposes, it does indeed count. Losing on penalties doesn't count because you haven't lost a game. You've drawn it. You've drawn it. This is why Rodri's unbeaten record is still going. This is why Arsenal, because Arsenal lost the Community Shield that season on penalties, but they didn't lose 7 games that year. They lost 6. So there we go. So yeah, it is indeed that. In conclusion, Arsenal are not invincibles and the name should be taken away. If you want to call them league invincibles, you're more than welcome to do that. You're more than welcome to do that. But you can't... But you can't label them as the Invincibles. I mean, first of all, it's a bit disrespectful to Preston North End, who actually went invincible in all competitions when they won the league and the FA Cup. If, Leverkusen have the chance to be actually invincible. If you want to be specific and call them league invincibles, that's absolutely fine. There's no one's arguing with that. But it wasn't an invincible season. If it is, then last season was the invincible season for City in the Champions League. Because we didn't lose a single game in that competition and won the trophy. So, if people want to say that they're the Invincibles, that's fine. But then so was City, and then so were United in 1999 when they didn't get beaten in the Champions League once. Who gave the name the Invincibles? I'd say probably marketing. I don't know. Again, I mean, it's a good thing no one's alive from that Preston side, or I'd be well annoyed. I like Guimaraes Nico, to be honest. I would indeed like him. So yeah, that's a little mini rant, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Are you guys frauds? We did get to 100 likes. Thank you so much for that, guys. I appreciate it. If it's still not working like that, it must be an issue on your end because the invite should work. Oh yeah, it must. It's not even close. It's not even close. You'd rather win the double every single day over being unbeaten in the league. Of course you would. Like what? Of course I'd rather 2 trophies than 1. There have been examples across Europe where a team which doesn't get beaten in the league doesn't even win the league. So in isolation, I don't know how impressive it is. Doing it and then also win the title, incredibly impressive. Of course, it's still impressive, but it's not a Centurion season. It's not a double winning season. It's not a treble winning season. It's nowhere near that in respect of that achievement. Preston did not go unbeaten in only the FA Cup and league title. Football's different than league less teams and small local tournaments. I didn't know about the local tournaments. That's very impressive. You can also, in theory, it would be very tricky, but in theory, you can get relegated. Yes, indeed. Yeah, if we can do the 4P, Alex, it would be mad. 30 mil for Kimmich, 100 mil. We're not Kimmich and Bruno. It would have to be one or the other, I think. It would have to be one or the other, for sure. Any final... We'll wrap up the stream. We'll leave in 5 minutes, guys. Any final questions or comments, please bring them in. City, it's a good point, Bree. City are invincible in this season's Champions League. I do feel like you need to win the trophy though, but yeah, you're not wrong. We are also unbeaten. Side note, server's called the Nabinho Nation. Side note, it does not. People are making this weird joke that Rodri's in the semi-final. I swear that like people treat this rule as if it's new. I'll repeat, the reason why this is a rule is because otherwise you would be in a situation where you win a game and lose a game at the same time. You could win a tie and you could win a game 2-1, but then get knocked out on penalties. You've won the game, but you got knocked out. Both things can be true. This isn't a zero-sum game. Pep's weird obsession with sign players he's managed in the past. Commissions are much better. I don't know if I agree, Nico. I don't know if I agree. All Black and Partizan both went unbeaten in Yugoslavia, and All Black didn't win the league. Yeah, it's happened a few times. It's happened in Portugal as well. I think it's happened in the Netherlands. That if you go, there's a Wikipedia page where it says like invincible seasons, and there's a little key. There's a little key where it says, whether they won the title or not, whether they didn't win the title. I think Red Star Belgrade did it as well or something, maybe. Let's just very quickly look at that. Me and Gasky have looked at this before on our podcast. List of invincible seasons. And again, this is domestically in the league because it only accounts for the league. This and this is just in Europe. Like there's many occasions where it hasn't happened. Shout out to Al Q8 who also didn't win the title. But yeah, if I go to Europe. Bulgaria in 1951 went unbeaten in the league, didn't win it. Benfica in 1978 went unbeaten in the league, didn't win it. Perugia, Italy, 1979 went unbeaten in the league, didn't win it. Galatasaray, 1986. Oblika, Yugoslavia, as you've just mentioned. Red Star Belgrade 2008 didn't win the league title. So this isn't a unique statement to make. And also, I think it's not even the most recent one. It's not even the most recent one in a top 5 league. Didn't Juve do it in 2012? Yes, they did. There they are. Porto did it in 2013. I think that was it Andre Villas-Boas who did that? Maybe. Or was that sorry, that was a bit sooner. That was in 2011. Porto in Portugal did it twice in 3 years. Rangers did it in 2021. Red Star 2023. Why aren't they called the Invincibles? There we go. But there we go. Bet Roy Keane gets mocked by Haaland when City win double at make 4P. Well, Roy Keane is clearly just... he must be a little bit upset because his greatest club football achievement in England was beaten by someone who did it in his first season in England. That must be... that must be it. We beat the Invincible Champions League group stage, yeah, pick up. Right, guys. I'm going to call it a day there. We've chatted for 9. Really hope you guys are still enjoying these post-mortem streams. But, lads, we need more people over on the Twitch. We are going live at 3 p.m. Football Manager. It's like this. I'm in front of a camera, but we're playing games at the same time. It's brilliant. We have a great conversation. If you guys, I still answer your guys' questions. It's still a conversation with the chat. More so a chat, if anything. It's just a Wikipedia page, Musty. Just type in like list of invincible seasons and you'll get it. So come over to the Twitch. It's LNobbins. I've literally put the link in for you there. Click that link. Click that link. Come over to the Twitch. Live at 3 p.m. Football Manager with Grasshopper Zurich. We're trying to win our first ever league title. Can we actually do it? I don't know. Maybe not. If I don't win it this season, then I might have to end it. I might have to end the whole career because it's upsetting me. I think we're in our 5th season now. We really need to win it. So join me over there. As I say, the link. Click that link. The Twitch name is LNobbins. Give us a follow, and you will enjoy it. If you enjoy this content, you'll enjoy it over there as well. It's the exact same thing. If you don't want the title, you have to get sacked, and maybe I will. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on today's stream. We will definitely be doing like a team of the season stream at some point. Maybe like next week we can do that. Maybe. Indeed, Pete. Maybe we can do like a team for the Touchline Talk Wednesday morning. Maybe we can do like a team of the season if you guys would be interested in that, etc, etc. Until then, guys, I'll see you on the Twitch at 3 p.m. LNobbins. Goodbye, guys.